you for watching Welcome Keene. I would like to thank everybody for watching my show. It's amazing that you guys spend time with us, and I really appreciate it. It means the world to us. As you guys know, my name is Agis Sosimo. As you guys know, I love talking about international community, but I also love talking to people who you can get inspired by, you can learn from, you can grow, you can make small changes, you can make small shifts in your life, and they will make a big difference. And today I have a very special guest in our studio, a local hero, Dr. Judith Reed. She is a woman with really big and courageous heart. She co-founded Spark Teacher Education Institute in Brattleboro, Vermont. She was a professor of teacher education in University System of New Hampshire, and now she's a professor in the education department at the Keene State College. She is a co-founder and the core leadership of Project Home, and has been working to secure safety for women and their children struggling through the asylum seeking process. In 2020, she was honored an outstanding woman of New Hampshire by Keene State College, but the most importantly, she is just wonderful. She has big heart, and she is just amazing. Judy, I'm so happy to have you in our studio. I am so grateful for Project Home and you are doing for this community. I feel like it's really amazing. I have a lot of respect that you help the people who are the most vulnerable, people who are traumatized, people who come from different countries and they face a lot of obstacles. I know that they're traumatized in their own country because their human rights are seriously violated. They are prosecuted. They suffer a lot of torture, different circumstances, and they come here and they experience another layer of trauma, which might be not knowing the language, or feeling isolated, feeling dislocated, being homesick. That puts a lot of pressure on them. And then Project Home, and you come and you help those people find their homes and help them financially and find medical help. And I feel it's absolutely wonderful what you're doing. I have a lot of respect for that. Thank you so much for doing that. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me here today.
Thank you for being here. Are you enjoying the beautiful weather today?
I am.
It's gorgeous, isn't
yes.
it?
Yeah.
So before we start our conversation, I would like you, because there's a lot of stigma around asylum seekers, I would like you to define what an asylum seeker is, and is it legal, so everything is crystal clear.
Yes, okay. So an asylum seeker is somebody who has come to our border or another border because they are fleeing unlivable conditions at home.
Right.
Under international law and United States law, it is legal to come to any part of the border, anywhere, and claim asylum. And that is what an asylum seeker is. It's somebody who has come to a border at any point on the border, encountered at some point an official to whom they can say, I claim asylum. And then they are provided an opportunity to explain the reasons why they need asylum.
So they come to the border and they get interviewed. What
They
happens
get an
at the
interview,
border?
yes. So once they have crossed the border, this is what's supposed to happen.
Right.
They should have an interview with an official who hears their story and makes a decision, preliminary decision, about whether that story is credible.
Right.
Whether they have a credible fear. If that is determined to be the case, then they are here legally.
Correct.
And they are not illegal.
Illegal, right.
No human being
And that's
is illegal.
important. That's important that
Yeah.
they're here legally.
They are here legally as soon as they have passed their credible fear test. And it is not illegal to cross the border at any point if that is the reason that they're crossing it.
So, small town, Keene, in New England, and what inspired you to start Project Home, organization that helps people very vulnerable and bring them to Keene, to such a small community? What was the reason of starting Project Home?
Okay, so back in, not that long ago, but in 2019 in the fall, there were, you may recall, there were that summer, there was a huge outcry over the separation of children from their parents at the border, children in cages, adults in cages, It was egregious.
We all remember that.
Yeah, and there was quite an uproar about it. And in Keene, we have another small group that had been in existence for a while that helped to organize, called Keene Immigrant and Refugee Partnership, and they helped to organize a rally on the town square, and some people listening may have been there.
Right.
And we pulled together a group of people who wanted to try to just do something about this, other than just to rally. And what we came up with was the idea that we could certainly, in our region, not just Keene, but the Monadnock region,
Mm-hmm.
we could bring into host homes at least 5 individuals or families and see them through the asylum process. Our thought was to get people out of detention on the border because they don't belong in detention.
No, absolutely not.
They're not criminals.
No.
And if they don't belong in detention, then where do they belong? They belong in our communities.
Oh, exactly.
So that was the beginnings of Project Home.
That's so inspiring. It's just so wonderful. So what is the mission of Project Home? How would you describe the mission?
The mission is to, as I said, bring asylum seekers into the community and support them fully throughout their asylum process. It's a very, very lengthy process. There's a lot of setbacks. The immigration system is quite broken, so it takes a long time, and there are a lot of hurdles along the way. But when they first come, they need shelter, food, clothing.
Right,
They come with
basic
nothing.
stuff, because they come basically with nothing. One
Absolutely.
suitcase maybe.
If that, no,
Right.
sometimes not even that,
Right.
just the clothes that they're wearing. So when they come, first of all, we have to have a host home. So generous people in the community stepped forward. We never even advertised for host homes. People came to us and said, I want to host a
So how
asylum
do you
seeker."
find out about asylum seekers? How do you know that there are asylum seekers on the border, they're looking for help, and you bring them here? Are you guys in some kind of network? How does it work?
Yes, we're in networks. We are closely involved with a particular shelter in El Paso that shelters asylum seekers who have no place to go in the country, who have no friends or family.
Right.
But also we're in local networks or statewide networks, both in Vermont and New Hampshire. Those people know about us. There are attorneys now who know about us,
Right.
and they may be in touch with an asylum seeker who needs housing. So there are all kinds of different ways that people
So
find us.
do you have any category, like people who come here, are they women with kids, or it doesn't matter? It could be anybody.
It doesn't matter.
It
As
doesn't
long
matter.
as they need to be an asylum seeker, which is not the same as a refugee, but they need to be somebody who's seeking asylum, and they need to be somebody we feel whose needs we feel we can meet. That's our only criteria.
And how many people, how many families or people do you have right now under your wings at the
Right
Project
now
Home?
we are working with 6 families.
6
or
families.
individuals, and that's not counting 3 or 4 that are mostly independent, that we're not any longer financially supporting for the most part.
Are they living with the families, local families, or they have their own apartments, or it varies?
It varies. There's some, we have, most of them are living with host homes, but we have a couple of situations where they're either living with a relative or even in a rental situation.
So what are the biggest challenges that you face on a daily basis with asylum seekers?
Well, once people get here and we get them, there's a lot that happens right when they first arrive, right?
Right.
That's quite challenging, but fun and exciting. But once people have arrived and are settled in, and the children are in school,
Is language a big barrier?
language is an issue. But Keene has a wonderful program at the Keene Community Education.
ESL?
An ESL program that's free for adults.
Yes.
So all of our guests are enrolled in that program. We make sure they get there. They have no transportation, right? They
Right.
can't even get a driver's license for quite a long time, even if they had a car. So there's a lot of transportation involved in doing this, and that's one of the hurdles. Housing, once they're ready to live independently of a host home, that's another huge hurdle.
Right.
And the third enormous hurdle is is legal assistance for them.
So how do you get finances for all that stuff? I mean, they can't go to work right away, right? Because it's required to, I don't know, 1 year they have 1 year to apply for the asylum seeker status, right? So they can work during that period of time. So how do you support them financially, or if they need medical help, like they're not insured, right?
Right. So yes, so they cannot get permission to authorization to work for quite a long time. Sometimes it takes 2 years.
Oh wow.
So the finances are provided. There's no government money for these people at all.
Right.
So
and you're a nonprofit as well, right?
We're a nonprofit, but the people of the region and other friends elsewhere have been incredibly generous, and
Right.
so it's all donations, mostly individual donations, a few little small grants. Although
That's
we're
wonderful.
doing, we're getting better with that, and my thanks goes out to 100 plus women in care.
Right, I just saw it on Facebook that you got a pretty nice check, right?
Yes,
it was just last Monday, or maybe the picture was just taken, but just recently, right?
Yeah,
that is absolutely
but
amazing.
again, that is the generosity
of our
the
community.
people of our community.
Yeah. Keene is absolutely amazing when it comes to help and getting involved and engaged, and that's great. How do you guys deal with cultural differences? Because where are those people coming from? Mostly, what are the statistics?
Most of our guests are from Spanish-speaking countries, Central America, Mexico, Central America, Venezuela.
Right,
Peru.
so I'm sure they face a lot of different cultural differences,
Sure,
like even climate probably is different.
Absolutely.
So how do you deal with that? Like, or holidays? Do you celebrate holidays with them, like day holidays and American holidays, and it's like an exchange?
In the host homes, of course, the hosts are the people kind of on the scene for those sorts of things, and they celebrate birthdays as it's done in Mexico or wherever.
That is so much fun, right?
It's fun for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, the holidays are really fun.
Yes.
In both
the more
directions.
the merrier, right?
Yeah.
The more reasons
and
to
food
celebrate.
the same way, of course they're getting to know what Americans eat, which may not be all that interesting to us, but then we get to know, the hosts especially get to know.
And I'm sure they make food
they
like
do.
from scratch, right? And it's delicious.
They make delicious food, yes.
So how do they stay here legally? When they get the status of the asylum seeker, they're legal. That's on the border already, right? That happens on the border.
So when they come to us, they're here legally.
Right.
So they're living here legally. But there are some restrictions. For example, they can't work.
Right, or they can get a driver's license,
and
right?
they can't get a driver's license because in New Hampshire they have to have a social security number,
right.
and they can't get that till they get the work permit. There are states where immigrants can get a driver's license without a social security number.
So the process is faster than in New Hampshire.
But not here. So there are a lot of issues like that they have to deal with.
Do you provide any legal support for them, like lawyers, and like they can get an advice?
That is critical. The statistics show that without an attorney, the help of an attorney, it's very, very rare to get asylum. But with one, so a weak case with an attorney is much better than a strong case without one.
They know the rules, right?
Yeah,
And when I was preparing for the show, I read that some asylum seekers, they don't even know, like, that they have just one time to apply for that status, and they miss it, and then they can get that status. And that's just not because they don't try; they just don't know. But when they get the help from the lawyer, they know about it, and it helps a lot. Do you have any example of the asylum seeker who is now like legal and have like a green card and like his?
One of the first families that came to us, a mother with 3 children. Actually, her 3rd child was born 2 days after she crossed the border in El Paso.
Here in Keene?
No, not here in
the
Keene.
border.
Actually, we do have a mother right now whose child was born here in Keene, whose 3rd child was born in Keene. But this was an earlier situation where she gave birth in El Paso right after.
Wow. Are they separated from the family? Are they separated from the husbands, or husbands are here as well?
I don't know the situation with the partner or the husband.
Okay.
No, he's not.
He's not.
So she came with her 2
older
preschool, early school age children and her baby. And she now has not only received asylum, but she has a green card.
Wow.
And she's employed, and
she's
she's fully incorporated into the community in which she started. And
That's a great story.
It's a great story.
Yeah. So you provide a lot of housing, and you provide medical help, and you provide legal help, a lot of basic stuff. I mean, above average.
Yeah.
But how do you help them emotionally or mentally? Because I mean, I am just an immigrant, and it was my decision to move to United States. For them, mostly they don't have the choice. They basically forced to move to United States. And I know when you move to a different country, it's a huge change, and you need to face a lot of difficulties, like emotionally you feel like you don't belong here, you're homesick, you're traumatized, you're trying to find people that will understand you. How do you help them in that aspect so mentally they feel they're not depressed?
Right. So I would say all of our guests, including the children, come with trauma, as you say.
Right.
And the trauma, of course, starts back home, which is the reason that they left. Right. And then they're traumatized on the trip because it's a horrific trip, absolutely horrific.
And the interview,
then they are traumatized on the border.
Right.
So and then of course, you know, all of the things that every immigrant, no matter whether they leave home because of trauma, you know, the homesickness, and you know, they've got family back home, so all of that. So that it is truly a difficult thing for people, and part of what we do is to be aware of that at all times. But the other part is to offer them, we do offer them counseling. We have been able to connect with therapists who are willing to provide counseling either for no fee or low fees, who speak Spanish or other languages. You know,
that's wonderful.
I mean, that's really important.
It really is. It's from my experience, communication in English is totally different than communication in Polish, so I can totally understand how it is. You're
so
more
we try to make sure that they have counseling in their home language. We had a man from Rwanda where the language was French, and we found a French therapist for him. So that is an important part of what we do.
Right, and I feel there's other things like the going to Kin community education that helps. They can connect with international community, and then Kin International Festival helps them find like their people. There's a little bit more and more happening in Kin right now if it comes to international community. That's my impression. The
international community in Keene is very vibrant.
It is. I love it. Like when we had the festival, it was really wonderful to see everybody there like happy and proud of their own country, wearing their own native clothes, and they were very proud.
And most of our guests were there.
Right.
Some of them singing in the chorus.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then they take video and they post it on Facebook so the family can see in their own native country. If somebody listens to our interview and decides that, okay, I want to be a host, what is the process of becoming a host? How do you become, a family that's hosting?
Okay, so the first thing would be to go to our website, which is really easy, projecthomeh.org, and there is an application form there, but also they could just reach out to one of us, and if they want to talk first. But we would start with a conversation and a lot of discussion around what's entailed, so that people go into it knowing completely what they're taking on. So that would be the basic process. We would visit them in their home, but we just want to make sure that people are completely educated about what this entails. That's at least as important, if not more important, than our being assured that this is going to be a good home for somebody. I mean, usually when people, want to do something like this, they're good people.
Right, that's important, and they feel comfortable in their house.
They should feel, and
safe.
Right.
So if the process is done and you decide that's a great match, how long is the asylum seeker staying with that family?
Typically, we ask that they be able to stay for 6 months to a year.
It's a pretty long period of time.
It's a pretty long period of
Yes,
time.
you have to be pretty committed.
They have to be pretty committed.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time, and then of course moving out, there's the housing problem that we all know about, right? And so it takes some time. Even if after 6 months the person needs to move out, it can take us a little time to find a place for them to go.
So if people would like to be a hosting family, but their financial situation doesn't let them to have that family over, because this extra expenses, are you guys willing to help with that?
Yeah, we definitely we can certainly help with the food bills. That's kind of the main sort of help we provide. But we also, for all situations, whether there are financial needs or not in the home, we provide a whole team of volunteers who support that whole situation, who provide transportation, who take the guests on outings, who help them with English.
All right, and they need to go to the doctor, or they need to be taken, right?
Yeah. So that the hosts are not on their own.
They're not left alone.
Yeah.
They get help, financial help, and they have like an army of volunteers, right? That they will help them. They're not left alone.
Right.
So what if they don't get along? Has it ever happened that they had to move out?
Well, there's always some friction, like can you
it's
imagine?
like family. It's like a family, right?
But for the most part, but I should say, in all cases so far, things have worked out. And there's a whole surround of people who can kind of help with
and support you.
Another thing that we try to do is to make sure that, because the hosts don't always speak the language of the guest, right?
Right.
And so we try to make sure that there's somebody available on a weekly basis, so that at least once a week there's a chance to sit down with somebody who can translate accurately and competently, and have a discussion about anything that may be going on that needs to be discussed.
So, if you don't have enough resources to host the family, the asylum seeker, is there any way that you can get involved and help those people?
Oh my goodness, yes.
So please tell us all about it.
Well, we need so many volunteers with each situation. We have up to 20, sometimes more, volunteers on each of these teams, and we have 5 or 6 teams. So that's a lot of volunteers.
That takes a village.
Yeah, it takes a village, and of course there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work too. I mean, we have to raise money.
So what kind of volunteering that would be? Driving, right?
Yep.
What else?
Driving, taking people shopping, taking people on outings. Getting to know the community, especially at first.
Right. Introduce them to the community.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, and what do things cost here? What does $1 mean?
Exactly. When you move here, like it's important to even know where Target is. I mean, for real, like you don't know simple things. Like everybody knows that stuff, but when you move here, you have no idea. So it's important.
Where can you get used clothing?
Exactly. Where the school is, the KCE, right? That's important. So that kind of volunteering, just to help with the basic stuff.
Yeah.
How about tutoring? Are you looking for tutors?
Absolutely. Sometimes the children need a little bit of extra help with schoolwork. They learn the language really fast, so that's not usually a problem for them. But the adults, to help them with their English, sometimes volunteers will actually be there for that purpose, but just spending time and speaking English with them.
Exactly, or something just being with them, right? It's important. Helpful. So I want to ask you a question that's more on the personal level. Helping those vulnerable people and being involved with their lives and supporting them all the time. What have you learned personally from people who are vulnerable, and on one side they're weak because they're in a different country, so they feel lost, but they're very strong because they have been so traumatized and they have experienced so many different experiences that we can probably even imagine. How does it feel for you to help those people? How rewarding it must be?
Well, it is very rewarding, absolutely. And that's regardless of what you might be doing. I mean, there are all kinds of ways to be helpful, and they're all really rewarding. But in terms of I think what I have needed to learn is to rethink my position in life, and to really pay careful attention to the difference, the dynamics in power in a situation like this. Because people are coming into a situation where they have a lot of needs.
Yes.
And that by itself creates a power differential. And as you said, these are people who have conquered incredible hurdles.
Yes.
and done incredible things in their life. These are competent people capable of making decisions about their lives for themselves. They don't maybe know all of the factors that I know about.
Right.
So I can convey those factors as information, but in the end, I have to be careful that I'm not making decisions for them. They are making their own decision. And if they make a decision that isn't the one that I think I would make, that's their decision to make, and I support that. So that's something we all, I think, who are working with Project Home are constantly working to accompany people, not to lead them. We're not saving anybody.
Right,
We're
you're
not,
just helping.
We're not guiding them. We're going along with them. We're accompanying them.
Well, I think what we must say that those people, most of the time, they're well educated. They might be teachers, they might be doctors.
Sometimes, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Well,
Yeah.
I know one, and
Some
I know
are.
he was a teacher in his
Yeah.
own country, and then he moved here, and then finding an occupation as a teacher is really hard because
Yeah.
of the English. But they definitely can
Right,
make
well,
their own decisions.
I mean, that is a typical thing for immigrants, is that they come here with a good education, and that education isn't considered okay here.
Exactly.
But the people that are coming through the asylum process, some of them are like that, and some of them are not all that skilled.
Right. So where can we find all the information about Project Home? Do you have a website?
We have a website. It's www.projecthomeh.org.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you so much for coming to our studio. I really appreciate having you here. I feel so inspired right now and so motivated. Like I feel like I want to help.
Oh, great! I'll sign you up.
Thank you so much for coming. And please, friends, just volunteer. It doesn't matter what occupation you are. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to change your occupation. You don't have to change your schedule. You can help from any situation, and volunteering is just a wonderful thing that you can do. You can see your life through a lens of love when you're volunteering, and you help yourself and you help other people by volunteering. It's kind of like an exchange of love. So it's very important, and volunteering, I feel, helping, serving other people is a great way to a meaningful life. So volunteer, contact Project Home, teach them English, help, whatever. It's very important, especially when you're from a different country. It's very important to know that you get that support and you're not disconnected, you're not dislocated. And when you're homesick, you can get help from people who live here, and you are not alone. It's very important. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your story, and I appreciate the information about Project Home. It was a pleasure to have you here. And I just want to announce that right now there's a Monadnock International Film Festival happening. It's online right now. They have a lot of great movies. Another one is tomorrow, October 6th at 5:30, Extraordinary Woman.
Oh.
Did you know about that?
No.
That's the Bicentennial, and that's at the Best Western Plaza in Keene. And then on October 7th, I think that's Saturday, from 9 till 3 o'clock, annual Cheshire Craftsman Fair at Parks and Rec on Washington Street. Thank you for watching us. My name is Agis Sersosimo, and see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.